Right, so I left Vitoria, which is in the Santo Espiritu state, and worked north to get into Bahia. So I was crossing the Bahia now. Now Bahia is like maybe one of the biggest states in Brazil that's not way off in the jungle somewhere. So high population and massive geographical area. There was one state that I missed, Minas Gerais, which is also about the same size as Bahia and big population. When I went from Sao Paulo to Rio, I sort of stayed along the coast, and Minas Gerais sort of a little bit north of that, and that was a state that I missed. So I've hit up many of the states in Brazil. Minas Gerais was one that I missed, which is strange because it's sort of like in the center region that I was moving through, but I missed it. But Bahia is this massive, massive state, and I kind of feel like it's like, in retrospect, I kind of feel like it might be like the heart of Brazil. Like you got Rio, you got Sao Paulo, that's maybe the population center, but I feel like the spirit's in Bahia. Anyway, enough on that, because I'm sure Brazilians will be like, no, 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 or give me different opinions, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so I get to Bahia, and the first place is called Teixeira de Freitas, and that's very difficult for me to pronounce. It's almost spelled like Teixeira, like Texas, but Teixeira de Freitas. And, yeah, it was a small town, and, like, in some of these places, like, I don't actually remember that much. I have to go back to my photos, or, like, think about, like, where did I stay, blah, blah, blah. But in this town, basically all I can remember is in front of the church that's in this image, I got stung by a bee or a wasp or something like that. And I ate at like a Subway restaurant, and I left my bag in there. And somehow by the time I came back, like 5 minutes later, it was still there. I was like, thank you. And also in Brazil, this acai berry type beverage thing, it's like a slushy of acai berry, is super popular, or at least it was when I was there. And I had kind of been avoiding it because I thought it might upset my stomach. Cold frozen drinks don't usually do too well with me. But there was this one place with a deal on like a super small size, so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get that. And it was good. It didn't seem to mess up my stomach, so that was great. So yeah, nothing major for Teixeira de Freitas, the first city in Bahia, but things seemed to go well. And then moving up from there, I went up to Porto Seguro. And on the way, the same way before Vitoria, I stopped at Morro Beach. I stopped at this kind of like resort, super touristy kind of spot called Areal da Ajuda before getting to Porto Seguro. And yeah, I mean, there's a video of the beach here. It was kind of a gray day, so I have to say that factored in as well. But even the water, like when I got a little bit deep into it, it was like super like rocky and barnacly, and I was like, I don't know about this. And it was just like kind of like a fake touristy Costa Rica vibe, not like a real city. Like super trendy coffee shops leading down to the water and whatever. But it was jungly. Anyway, the bad thing about that was the road was kind of bumpy to get down there, and I like lost the hubcap. I ended up flatting a tire, which I realized when I got to Porto Seguro, and this plastic thing, this cover underneath of my car, plastic cover like came loose, which I ended up having to get fixed the next day, fortunately for super cheap. Anyway, so I get to Porto Seguro, and there's some video of it there. It's like pretty touristy, it's like on the ocean, super nice. That video you can see is like excellent place. Touristy, but I didn't hate it. And then up above the town on this hilltop, there's this like historic kind of district. I think that Porto Seguro might be like one of the places that's one of the oldest places in South America. It had some plaque or something about 1500 or something happening there, I don't know. So it has a major historic side to it as well, which not reading Portuguese and not being a historian, I don't know much about, but it was a cool zone on top of Porto Seguro there. Anyway, so the next day, I had noticed there was a tire fixing place on my street where my hotel was right next door. So I went to go talk to the guy, and it was kind of like a homemade fix-it shop kind of thing. And so I first of all said, what about this piece of plastic that kind of came loose? Can you fix that? He's like, well, it needs a screw, and I don't have the right screw for it. But he took this wire and kind of jerry-rigged it, and it worked fine. So that was great. Still functioning that way all the way home. The tire, he investigated, and he ended up like not changing the tire, but just like shoving this like orange gunk into it. I guess a hole or something. And I was like, dude, this looks so ghetto. Like, it can't work. But it ended up like lasting, like I think it lasted either all the way home or like almost all the way home. So it worked fine. That was like nothing. I think I paid him the equivalent of like $2 for all of that. But anyway, it was great. So then I was on my way to the next city, Itabuna. And this one I have some video of me driving, so you can see the landscape. It's dry, it's gorgeous weather, almost like Kamloops-ish in some spots. But anyway, so I get to Itabuna, and my hotel is like kind of in the hood. And I was a bit worried about that because it looked like it might not be easy to find, but I found it. It wasn't that bad. And then I walked downtown, sort of along this long strip. Downtown's kind of cool. It's got some like hilly, rolling type vibes. Got some visits, some churches or whatever there. Crossed this bridge across the river, ended up at a shopping mall. So that's the thing about Brazil is like, the small towns even will have like shopping malls. And that's what I mean, but it doesn't really reject the North American kind of vibe. I feel like in Argentina, if it was a small town, they'd have more of a market or a plaza or something. They wouldn't have like a shopping mall, but it's a little different in Brazil. So I went to the shopping mall, and then I came back to my hotel, went to bed, and the next day I met a woman from online again, of course. And that was interesting. Like, we went to her house, and it was like literally like project housing. Like, I mean, I wasn't scared. I probably should have been. I was like, dude, I need a jump. This is like a setup. But like, it was the kind of thing where we were going up the staircase to get to her apartment, and there was like families, like moms and children, like sitting in the stairs, like as we had to like, and she would talk to them because she knows all those people. And so that was sort of like interesting experience, way outside my normal frame. But managed to get out of there and out of Itabuna, no problem, hit the highway and headed to the next place, which is San Antonio de Jesus. And on that route there, again, gorgeous, gorgeous day of travel, beautiful blue skies, dry countryside, rolling hills. And in Bahia, there were like these white cows. I've never thought of cows as like sacred. Like, I know in India cows are sacred, but I've always thought cows are like this big dumb beast. But like, there's these like white cows in Brazil, and I think definitely in Bahia they're there. And they have like, they're skinny, and they have like, they're pure white, and they have like this weird like hump on their neck. And there was something about them, I was like, dude, those cows are sacred. Like, I could feel some vibes. So anyway, I wasn't able to get any video of them, but on this video clip you can kind of see there's some white things there. Those are cows. You don't get to look at them, but whatever. My best attempt to show you. So anyway, so I get to San Antonio and de Jesus, de Jesus, and it's got, well, my hotel's right on this like central square, and it was crazy busy when I got there. Like motos and everything, like super nuts. I have some video of it later on in the day, so not so crazy. But you can see again, like, even though it's a small town, they have like pretty well designed square. They have like a big screen television that's like broadcasting in the square. So it's a different vibe. So that was a cool square. Outside of that, there wasn't much happening in the city though when I went wandering around. So anyway, came back there. Good night's sleep in San Antonio de Jesus. And the next day was for Salvador, heading to Salvador. And like, so I took the long route to get to Salvador, because you can take a ferry, but I don't really trust ferries with my car, and like, I don't know, I just like, nah, I'll take the long route to drive around. It wasn't that long, but it would have been much faster to take the ferry. So I get to Salvador, and I'm staying in kind of like, I don't want to say ghetto, but yeah, a very poor neighborhood, Liberdade or Calçada. It's on the border between those two, and like, I mean, I knew it was poor because I was definitely like the only white guy in the neighborhood, and or one of the only white guys in the neighborhood. And because like the women that I was chatting to online were like, dude, like, what are you doing staying there? Which was actually fairly common in some of the big cities I was staying. They'd be like, because the women who could speak English or whatever would usually live in the nicer neighborhoods and be like, what are you doing staying there? But anyway, whatever. There wasn't really a subway in Salvador that was like usable or functional, so I ended up walking a lot. And like the first day, it was cool. I left my hotel, it was a super sunny day. Walked down sort of this main strip. Oh yeah, in my hotel, sorry to break this down, in my hotel, because in Salvador one of the problems is not only do they don't have a subway, they have like kind of like cliffs that come up off of the lower levels of the city closer to the water, and there's not really a way to get up. Like, you kind of get stuck. Like, it's not like here where they have a road that you can walk up. It's like, no, like unless you take a staircase that's like electronic or something, and you can see one of those funiculars across from my hotel, that like it's a machine that's like a tram that takes you up a hill. So they have those in Salvador. And yeah, so anyway, so I start walking downtown along the flat. I'm trying to get to Pelourinho. So there's some cool churches in my zone, but get to Pelourinho was tricky. Got a little bit lost, but made it there, and it blew my mind. So that's like, I guess, one of the main African districts in Salvador, although the city's very African anyway. And the architecture and the blue sky, I mean, man, that like blew my mind. I was like, I love this. And then there was like this African drum band playing or whatever, like, or African-American, African-Brazilian, Afro-Brazilian drum band playing. That was super cool. And so from Pelourinho I continued on, and there's like this giant elevator, instead of the funicular, there's this giant elevator thing. It's a gorgeous look out of the city. And then my aim was to get down to the Museum of Modern Arts, but it was closed by the time I got there. But just like a gorgeous sunset with like some boats or whatever. And then I tried to walk back to my neighborhood sort of along the seafront, which I saw this cool art piece, but I ended up getting stuck. There was no way to get back up top to the level at like Pelourinho in my hotel. It was like impossible. So I had to take that elevator up, which was like, I think 25 cents or something, so that was cool. And then walk back through Pelourinho to my hotel. And so that was awesome first day, lots of walking. But the second day was like a 23-kilometer walking day, like super long day, super pushing it. So first of all, I left the hotel, met up with this one girl that was like with her friends, sort of like close to my hotel. But then I took that same route through Pelourinho again, and actually got, I found Carmen's hostel that he stayed at in like 2004 or whatever when he was in Salvador. So I have like a picture of that or a video of that or something. And continued through Pelourinho, and then went to this like, I think I actually made it, no, let's back up. Did I go to MAM that day? Maybe I did go to the Museum of Modern Art that day, but it wasn't that impressive. But anyway, another thing I did was I went to this like soccer stadium, and not that that was amazing, but heading in a different direction of Salvador. And then this like Tororo Park, there's like this lake with these like crazy like Asian like martial arts figures. I almost thought the name of the park was Totoro Park because of Miyazaki's Japanimation work, My Neighbor Totoro, but it's Tororo. That was super cool. And then I think after that, that's when I linked up to MAM again, the Museum of Modern Art, which was nothing special, but whatever. And then from there I continued on some other museums, some churches, a fort, a lighthouse, and ended up at the beach area. And it was just pretty packed, but I actually found a section that was not so packed, and I went swimming. That was super good. And kind of ended the day there. Then went to a mall to get some food, and ended up at like another lighthouse area where like some Christian songs were being played or something like that, sort of interesting. But my goal was to meet this woman at this festival called the Yamanja Festival that I heard a lot about. It was happening that weekend. And Yamanja's like the African sea goddess or something like that. And so I got to Rio Vermelho, and it was like packed, like so many people there for this festival. And like, of course I don't have like data in my phone, like I only have Wi-Fi, and there's no Wi-Fi here. So we had to do like the 1990s style, like to meet this woman, right? So it was like we'd made a spot we were going to meet, and ended up working out. We met there, even though there's lots of people. I found her, and she was with her friends. So we were hanging out, had some beers, and then we're sort of like following with the Yamanja Festival, which has this procession aspect to it, where you're like, people are singing songs, and you're like this parade, there's like this crazy DJ guy behind you, and they're carrying flowers and all this stuff, and like sort of like, I don't know, like a container thing or whatever. We're going along this procession, and we end up sort of at the beach, and they take this thing, and they put it in the water, put all these flowers in it, there's all these candles and all this like stuff happening, and then they push it into the water as an offering to like Yamanja, who's like the African goddess of the sea. So yeah, it was really, really interesting, and it was super fun to meet those people and like do that thing. But then I needed to get home, and like Rio Vermelho is very, very far from where my hotel is in Liberdade Calçada. And there's no subway, and by that time of the night, like I knew there was no more buses running, because Salvador is weird, like buses don't run all night. So I was like, went to the bus stop, because I heard some buses would be running extra time. I'm just waiting there, it's like 1 or 2 in the morning, and buses are going by, but like none that I need. Very few buses are going by, and after a while there's no buses going by. So I'm like, dude, I'm like screwed. I'm gonna have to walk like home, and that's gonna add, instead of being a 23-kilometer day, or it's gonna be like a 35-kilometer day. I'm like, oh my god, and this was at like 1 or 2 in the morning. So this van comes by with the door open, and there's these young guys that are like, hey, está solapa, está solapa. And like I knew Estacio Lapa was like this central hub for the transit, not near my place, but closer to my place than Rio Vermelho. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll do it. So I get in. It's like maybe like $50 to take this like van with these guys. Doors open. They're yelling for everyone to come in. Like they're just stopping random places trying to get people to come in. People are drinking beer. Like it's totally like just like random ad hoc form of transportation. It was cool. I finally got back to Estacio Lapa, and from there like sort of knew how to get to Pelourinho, and then from there how to get back to my hotel. And so I get to Pelourinho, and then beside Pelourinho, to get down from that sort of like high point back down to the sea level that I need to get to my hotel, you have to go down this like walkway that's like a back alley with no lights and like residential housing all along, like super poor people. And not trying to be an idiot, but that's how it was. And it was like 2:30 in the morning, 3 in the morning at this point, and I remember thinking, dude, this is not cool. Like this is like a recipe for disaster, because you know, if I can run, it's cool, but like in that like alley thing on that slope, I couldn't have run. Like I wouldn't, no, like nothing, right? And no lights or anything. So I was like, okay, just go. And so I did it. Nothing. Thank you. Like nothing. So lucky. And I came back to my hotel probably at 3:30 in the morning. Went to sleep. And man, I was like, Salvador was like a bomb. Like people had told me I don't really like. People in Argentina had said I don't really like Salvador. Some people said I really like Salvador. If you go to Brazil, you have to go to Salvador. It is amazing. Like I say, Florianopolis was cool. Foz do Iguaçu, the waterfalls were insane. Sao Paulo and Rio were crazy. Particularly Rio was nuts. Like highest probably recommendation. But like Salvador, don't miss it. It was so awesome. So check that out. Anyway, moving on.